Takeaways from 6 previous Trump-Netanyahu meetings. Unsealed Watergate files show Nixon assured China of U.S. backing in 1971 Bangladesh Liberation War. Leader of Myanmar armed group says world is ignoring junta's deadly airstrikes. Russian strike kills 3 children, father in Ukraine. Cambodia says it has closed almost 200 scam centers in fraud crackdown.
U.S. President Donald Trump is set to meet Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on Wednesday to discuss ongoing U.S.-Iran nuclear negotiations, amid fears that failed diplomacy could trigger a broader regional conflict. Since Trump returned to the White House in January 2025, the two leaders have held 6 major meetings focused largely on Iran and the Gaza war. February 2025. Trump stunned allies by proposing that the United States take control of the Gaza Strip and redevelop it economically after relocating Palestinians. The plan drew global condemnation and was later softened. April 2025. Netanyahu was caught off guard when Trump announced imminent nuclear talks with Iran, despite Israel seeking U.S. backing for military strikes. Months later, a 12-day conflict erupted, with Israel and the U.S. striking Iranian targets before a ceasefire was reached. July 2025, Netanyahu warned that a future Palestinian state could threaten Israel's security, while both leaders discussed hostage releases and ceasefire efforts in Gaza. September 2025, Trump secured Netanyahu's support for a U.S.-led peace proposal aimed at ending the Gaza war, though uncertainty remained over Hamas's response. October 2025, Trump declared the Gaza war over during a visit to Jerusalem and publicly urged Israel's president to pardon Netanyahu in his ongoing corruption trial. December 2025. After meeting in Florida, Trump warned the U.S. could back new strikes on Iran if it restarted nuclear or missile programs, and cautioned Hamas to disarm or face severe consequences.
Former U.S. President Richard Nixon privately assured China that Washington would support Beijing if it attacked India during the 1971 Bangladesh Liberation War, according to newly released Watergate-era documents. The records include sworn grand jury testimony that had remained sealed for nearly 50 years due to its highly sensitive nature. They reveal that the United States quietly prepared for the possibility of a wider regional war involving China. Nixon told prosecutors that the Soviet Union was backing India at the time, while Pakistan had few supporters because of an arms embargo. He said the U.S. provided Pakistan with moral support and privately assured China that America would stand by it if Beijing chose to confront India. The former president emphasized that the decision was his own and not driven by then National Security Advisor Henry Kissinger, indicating it came from the highest level of leadership. Officials kept the testimony secret out of concern that exposing U.S. Cold War strategy could have serious diplomatic and military consequences. Nixon even warned investigators not to open that can of worms. Myanmar's conflict is drawing renewed concern after the leader of a powerful ethnic army accused world leaders of ignoring deadly military airstrikes on civilians. General Yaud Sirk, head of the Restoration Council of Shan State, said civilians are suffering as the military intensifies bombing campaigns. Data from monitoring groups shows airstrikes have hit more than 1,000 civilian sites in the past 15 months, killing at least 700 people since late 2024. Myanmar has been in turmoil since the military coup in 2021 that removed the elected government of Aung San Suu Kyi. Pro-democracy forces continue to fight the junta but lack air power, while the military insists it is targeting terrorists. Yaud Sirk warned that the international community has failed to stop the violence and claimed that China is the only country actively intervening in the conflict. Beijing has acted as a power broker, pushing some armed groups to pause offensives in order to protect major infrastructure projects. The general also criticized the recent military-run election, widely condemned by the United Nations and rights groups as a move to tighten the junta's hold on power. Despite his strong remarks, Yaud Sirk said political dialogue with the military is still necessary to end the war and called for unity among Myanmar's many armed factions. A Russian drone strike has destroyed a family home in northeastern Ukraine, killing a father and 3 young children. Officials say the attack hit a residential building late Tuesday in the town of Bohodukhiv near Kharkiv. The house was completely destroyed and caught fire, trapping the family under the rubble. The victims were identified as a 34-year-old man, 2 two-year-old boys, and a 1-year-old girl. The children's pregnant mother survived but remains in critical condition with severe burns. Prime Minister Yulia Sviridenko called the incident an entire family wiped out in a single act of Russian terror. Russia has not commented on the strike and continues to deny deliberately targeting civilians, despite thousands of civilian deaths since the full-scale invasion began in 2022. Ukraine has also carried out strikes on civilian areas, though far less frequently. Cambodia says it has shut down nearly 200 scam centers in a sweeping crackdown on transnational fraud networks targeting victims worldwide. A senior official confirmed that about 190 sites have been sealed, 173 alleged crime leaders arrested, and roughly 11,000 workers deported since the campaign began late last year. The action followed major international pressure, including a U.S. indictment and China's extradition of a suspected scam kingpin. Authorities recently allowed rare media access to a compound near the Vietnam border, revealing large rooms packed with computers, scripted scam instructions, phone booths, and even fake police stations designed to deceive victims. Many workers, some believed to be trafficking victims forced to operate under harsh conditions, have fled the compounds, prompting Amnesty International to warn of a growing humanitarian crisis. Police admitted they lacked the manpower to detain thousands who escaped one casino complex after the arrest of its alleged boss. Officials say this operation is broader than past efforts and focuses on shutting down facilities and targeting senior figures, though Cambodia has previously faced criticism for downplaying the scale of scam operations within its borders.